Well, I got a Blu-ray right here. I've got a 4K right here. So it seems to me that you got to ask yourself one question. Is this 4K of Dirty Harry worth the upgrade? Is it, punk? Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Mid-Level Media Channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. I am Ken. Today, guys, I'm very excited. I get to talk about a movie that was a first-time watch for me. I'm ashamed to admit it, but I had never seen a Dirty Harry before. So we're going to be talking about this 4K here today from Warner Brothers. This is an early review. This comes out on April the 29th. There's also a Steelbook option to get Dirty Harry, and I think it's going for $29.96 on Amazon and on Groove.com as well, as is the standard slipcover version. The standard slipcover is a little bit cheaper at $23.79, but look, that's a perfectly affordable price for both the slipcover and the steelbook. That's why I like Warner Brothers, guys. They don't price us out of our houses. You know, something like some companies, cough cough, Disney, that wants to charge $50 to $60 for a steelbook. Yes, Warner Bros. Does not include the Blu-ray. They do not include the Blu-ray in their releases. It's only the 4K in here, but still, like, you're going to charge 23 bucks for a new 4K. I think that's a perfectly, acceptable price point. But yeah, guys, before we get into it, like, comment, subscribe. Also, definitely let me know your thoughts on Dirty Harry in the comments section below. This is definitely like a super iconic movie. So let me know if this is one of your favorite films of all time, favorite Clint Eastwood films, favorite 70s film. Also, are you going to pick this release up? Are you going to get the standard version, the steelbook? Let me know all that stuff in the comment section below. Now let's go ahead and jump into the actual film itself. This is a movie directed by Don Siegel. It stars Clint Eastwood. It's also written, the story is by John Milius, who also directed Conan the Barbarian. I think he did some stuff with Walter Hill as well, but I think he wrote a lot of stuff, actually. I just don't know everything off the top of my head. And look, this movie, I'm gonna be honest here, guys, and this is a positive. I'm not gonna make anybody mad with this video. Okay, I know some people got mad with my Long Kiss Goodnight review and how I talked about that. Not gonna do that here. Honest opinion on Dirty Harry, I think this movie is freaking awesome. Like, I loved it so much. It was far like more gritty than I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be a little bit more tongue in cheek, not necessarily goofy, but I just thought it was going to be a bunch of one-liners. I was thinking, I guess, more along the lines of like 80s action, but what Dirty Harry is, like, it really just inspired like the urban cop movement of the 70s and into the 80s as well. It inspired all this stuff, guys. This is where it started. It started with Dirty Harry, and then of course it would go on to the more ridiculous like buddy cop action comedies and stuff of the 80s and even the 90s as well. But all of that started with Dirty Harry. So it makes sense that this is a real, like, realistic, like, serious, grounded approach to the material. Now, not to say that Clint Eastwood doesn't have his one-liners. Of course, there's the iconic one-liner, "Do I feel lucky? Well, do ya, punk?" Which I've heard that since I was probably like 5 or 6 years old. I'm pretty sure Jim Carrey says that in The Mask.
Now you have to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky?
That's probably where I heard it for the first time. And I gotta say, I was a little disappointed when he first says it to the first guy, because I was like, oh, that was a little anticlimactic. But he brings it back in the end and definitely puts a stamp on it with how he delivers it in the final act. But yeah, really cool movie. Kind of gave me like Giallo vibes, just with the hunting down the killer, because it's Clint Eastwood. He's playing the character of Harry Callahan. They call him Dirty Harry because he's the guy they call in to do all the dirty jobs. That's why they call him Dirty Harry. The stuff that nobody else wants to do, Clint Eastwood will do it in this film. And there's a killer that they establish in the very like opening of the film. It's the Scorpio killer. And basically it's Clint Eastwood trying to figure out who this guy is, where he's going to attack next, and try to take him down. And I just thought that that was really cool, because I did not think that, I don't know, this movie feels like borderline horror. to me. Like it's that dark of a like gritty crime thriller, like set in the city. It's set in San Francisco. I just loved everything about it. I love the setting. I loved all the actors and performers in the film. I just thought it was like, I don't know, guys. Sometimes I watch these films, these iconic movies from the past, and I get so afraid that I'm just not going to love it like I should. Not the case with Dirty Harry at all. I love this film like from beginning to end. And yeah, I just couldn't shake. And this is 1971. So it was before, like, I feel the big Giallo movement of the 70s and 80s. I just couldn't shake how much this movie kind of felt like very familiar to some of those Italian like horror movies. To the point where I kind of wondered, did the Italian Giallo films kind of take inspiration from Dirty Harry? Was that a thing? I don't know because it really does kind of feel like that. Now, the thing this movie does differently that I was a little bit conflicted on at first, I'll be honest, is the killer in the film is Andrew Robinson, played by Andrew Robinson, who was the dad in Hellraiser. That's what I know him from. He's also in Cobra with Sylvester Stallone as well. And he's so good in this movie, just so like creepy and menacing, and just a perfect like villain for this film. But they show you who he is like right off the bat. You know like what the killer looks like and who he is like from the beginning. Like Clint Eastwood doesn't necessarily know who he is, but you know who he is. So you don't really have that mystery throughout the film, like who the killer is, but there's always that tension like all throughout, like what's he going to do next? Who is he going to attack next? And it gets very dark, like with some of the death scenes and like what he does and some of the things like there's some really violent acts against young women. There's a whole sequence at the end with a school bus and kids. Like like this movie just gets really dark. And I was not expecting that out of Dirty Harry. I really wasn't. But this is the groundwork, guys. This is the template for all of the of those urban cop movies that would come in the 70s and 80s. It started with Dirty Harry. And yeah, this movie was so freaking good. I could not believe how good this movie was. So yeah, absolutely love Dirty Harry. Now let's get into what you all came to hear about, okay? I know you guys want to know, is this worth upgrading over your Blu-ray? And what I can tell you is this is a native 4K. It was actually scanned in 8K and put on a 4K disc. You got the HDR10. There's no Dolby Vision. And here there's no Dolby Vision. There's HDR10, and this is on 100 GB disc. So you have all the special features are on here as well. So I'm glad they put it on 100 GB disc to kind of make room for all the extra features that are on the 4K disc. But what I can tell you guys, stunning restoration. I've seen some really great restorations from the 70s. I really have. There's just something about that time period that I just feel like lends itself to a 4K upgrade. Like there's just something about these old movies in particular from the 70s, like some 60s stuff as well, but the 70s, I don't know, there's just that grit to them. There's that really like filmmaker quality to the movies. Like it just felt like a time where like filmmakers were trying different things. They were doing different stuff with the camera and the cinematography. And there's just something about like watching a 70s movie in 4K. There's really nothing like it. And I think when they do it right, like the 70s movies are really the ones that just look the best in 4K. I'm thinking of Jaws on 4K. I'm thinking of The Warriors on 4K. Like these are some standout 4Ks. Apocalypse Now on 4K, Suspiria on 4K, which I just talked about a couple of days ago. Some of the best 4K restorations around, and Dirty Harry is up there, guys. It is really up there. Now, I'm not saying it's a top 10 of all time or anything like that, but really, like, honestly, there's no weak spots in this 4K to me. Some incredible detail. Like, there's just some incredible, like, shots and cinematography. The way they show this city, the way they shoot Clint Eastwood, some of the up-close facial shots. There's incredible detail on the faces and also the outfits that they're wearing as well. Like there's a scene with Clint Eastwood where they kind of pan down his face to his jacket to kind of show like where he's, hiding the gun or the knife. And you can just see every fiber on his clothes and all that kind of stuff. There's a scene where him and his partner Chico are kind of staking out up on top of a roof, and there's some pink neon lights kind of glowing on them. That sequence is really beautiful as well. But yeah, just a really like nice like filmic quality to this 4K, but it enhances all the details so much. There's so much depth to the picture quality. There's so much weight here. And like I said, just some incredible detail, all the buildings and just all the settings throughout the movie. There's some gorgeous like scenery, guys. Like I said, it's set in San Francisco, some gorgeous scenery. The HDR is really doing a lot to kind of bring those colors out and really add to the weight of that picture quality. It's not the most colorful film in the world, other than the scene I highlighted where they're with the neon lights and all that stuff. But it just adds a real like weight and texture to the picture. But yeah, I just thought it was great. Incredible detail. It has clarity, but it also has a good amount of grain in it as well. The grain structure is definitely really solid, and it still feels like a film, so don't worry about it. Don't worry that they cleaned it up too much, because they didn't. It still retains that real like film-like quality to it, while still being incredibly detailed and incredibly textured, and just having that great amount of depth to it. So all in all, guys, like I thought it was a fantastic 4K restoration. I thought they did such an incredible job, and the fact they scanned it in 8K just shows you like how much they cared about upgrading Dirty Harry. And yeah, I really think Warner Brothers, I've said it before and I've gotten pushback for it, but I think that Warner Brothers, as of right now, is doing some of their best work. They did it last year with stuff like The Searchers and Twister. I really love that 4K as well. Blazing Saddles, Terminator, North by Northwest is one of the best 4Ks I've ever seen. And that was all Warner Brothers. So they are really firing on all cylinders right now. This is a picture perfect 4K. Do not be worried about the picture quality, because this is a hell of an upgrade over the Blu-ray. Didn't talk about the Blu-ray too much. Blu-ray looks fine. It looks fine. But to be honest, like with a lot of Blu-rays that I watch, like they're fine. If that's all we had, that's fine. But when you compare it to the 4K, the Blu-ray just feels very flat. It feels almost lifeless compared to the 4K. It just doesn't have that like density. Like there's just something about a 4K. When you're watching a movie in 4K, stuff's so incredibly detailed. It feels like you can reach out and touch it. Blu-rays don't feel that way. They feel more like two-dimensional when you're watching them, just like you're watching it flat on your TV, which you are, but just the 4K quality, if it's a really good one, can really bring that picture to life in a way that Blu-ray just cannot. So not that this is a bad Blu-ray, but it's definitely a huge upgrade, I think, over that Blu-ray. I don't really think anybody can really deny that, to be honest. And I'm watching this, guys, on it, just so you guys know, I've got all my equipment linked down below, but I watched this on an OLED C2, LG OLED C2 at 65 inches. So I've got the setup to be able to appreciate good picture quality on 4K. Now, getting into the audio here, guys, in addition to the upgrade to the picture, you also got an upgrade to the sound. You got Dolby Atmos with this release. You got Dolby True HD 7.1. You also got DTS HD Master Audio 2.0. And this sounds incredible. Now, I just got a soundbar. I don't have the full equipment to be able to appreciate Dolby Atmos. I got a soundbar with a subwoofer, and it kind of simulates the Dolby Atmos, at least it's supposed to. But there's some incredible like shootout sequences in this film. Like there's some really great moments of action in the movie. And those shots that are fired, guys, you can feel those, you can hear those like all around you. So in my opinion, you wouldn't think that necessarily Dirty Harry, like it's not a huge like action spectacle movie. But with the shootouts and some of the stuff that it does with how it plays with, you know, the bullets and people sniping and stuff on the roof, some of the stuff it does with the sound, I think it kind of lends itself well to an Atmos setup, and I'm glad that Warner Brothers included that here, because they don't do that on everything. And to be honest, to be perfectly honest, there's a lot of studios that don't do it at all. You know, there really is. There's a ton of studios I can think of that barely ever do a Dolby Atmos upgrade, and Warner Brothers like does it quite often. So again, another positive that I got to give to Warner Brothers on this release is that Dolby Atmos. Now, getting into the unboxing of the slipcover version right here, guys. Nice little image on the cover. I like the, you know, the blue and red police lights and stuff behind Clint right there. Nice little image of Clint. You know, I don't think this color scheme like really matches the film. When I think of this movie, I don't think of a bunch of police lights and stuff at night going off, because that doesn't happen like too often. A lot of this movie is Clint just kind of going around in the dark, in the alleyways in the city and stuff like that. So, but it's a nice image. You got Clint Eastwood, Dirty Harry right there. 4K banner at the top. Let me show you the spine right here. You got Dirty Harry on the spine. You got the Warner Brothers logo. You got some images on the back right there. You got Clint Eastwood. You got Andrew Robinson. You got the school bus. And right here, you can see the special features, all the specs down there at the bottom. Take it out of the slipcover. Show you the front. Show you the back. You got all the same stuff. You just got the casting list down there at the bottom. Open it up. Like I said, you just got the 4K, you know, basic, bland, boring disc art on this one. That's a negative I can put towards Warner Brothers. They don't really do a lot of fancy disc art. You do have a digital code here, no Blu-ray, but you do have a digital code with this release. Now, getting into the special features, guys. Getting in to the special features, they added two. First off, there's 4 hours of special features here. A lot of those are archival stuff. We'll get into that. But they added two brand new features here. The first one is Generations and Dirty Harry. Now, they're not lengthy special features. This is about 6 minutes long, but it kind of, you know, it's a bunch of talking heads just talking about the legacy of Clint Eastwood and Dirty Harry and how this is really like the first of its kind in the urban cop genre. And also what I thought was really interesting is how I think one person brought up how Clint Eastwood was really kind of the bridge between the Western to the urban cop movie, because the Western was like the quote unquote like dad movie of the 40s, 50s, 60s. And then once Dirty Harry came out, the urban cop movie was the dad movie of the 70s, 80s, 90s. So I thought that that was kind of interesting how Clint Eastwood kind of, you know, went from Western to urban cop and kind of took that audience with him, which just shows the power of Clint Eastwood as an actor in general. So it was a short feature, about 6 minutes long, but it was definitely a good one. Then you got Lensing Justice, the cinematography of Dirty Harry. So they were talking about all the, you know, unique, like ambitious things that they did with the groundbreaking things that they did with the cinematography at that time that nobody else had really done before. So that was a really interesting special feature, and that was about 8 minutes long, that one. So you got 14 minutes of new features, and look, we're in a day and age where not a lot of studios are doing new special features. That's usually just for the boutique labels. So I give Warner Brothers credit, guys. They're doing it more than any other studio, adding value, adding brand new special features to their catalog 4K upgrades. You also got a past commentary here with Richard Schnickel. Now, I almost forgot about this because they did include something here that was not new, but it was not on the Blu-ray. This is a documentary from 2021. It's called Clint Eastwood, A Cinematic Legacy, Fighting for Justice. So this is a documentary that was put out in 2021 that was not on the Blu-ray. It's not new, but it is new to home video, I imagine, with this 4K release. But in addition to that, guys, the two new special features, the new documentary they put on here, you also got two other documentaries from the Blu-ray. They were both on the Blu-ray. They might have been on the DVD as well. You got American Masters Career Retrospective, Clint Eastwood Out of the Shadows, and that's about 90 minutes long. Then you got Clint Eastwood, The Man from El Paso, which is about an hour long. So you got 2.5 hours of documentary between those two, and also 30 minutes with that other document. That one might have been 45 minutes. I can't remember if that was 30, 45, or an hour, but yeah, lots of stuff here, guys. This thing is loaded. You also got a couple of other featurettes, Dirty Harry's Way, Dirty Harry the Original. You got Interview Gallery. Now, the one thing that this does not have that the Blu-ray did have is they promoted 3 featurettes on here, and the one that is missing from the 4K is called The Long Shadow of Dirty Harry. So there is something that's on the Blu-ray that is missing on the 4K, but the 4K has that newer documentary and the 2 new special features as well. The audio commentary is on both the Blu-ray and the 4K. But there you have it, guys. That is Dirty Harry on 4K. Lot to talk about here, a lot to get into. This was really a great release. One of my favorites of the year so far. So I have to give this one a pretty high recommendation. Like I said, I will be linking this down below in the description, the 4K and the 4K Steelbook. So if you decide you want to get it, definitely consider using those links. They're affiliate links and they do help support the channel, and I would appreciate it. But yeah, what a release, guys. What a freaking release from Warner Bros. I loved it so much. So thank you all so much for watching my Dirty Harry 4K review. Like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on those bell notifications for all future videos, and follow me on all my social media accounts. Those links are down below in the description, and we'll see you next time.